Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
Government pension. What are the facts? Are all public workers entitled to pension? Are public workers owed gratuity? Here are the facts. Fact 1. The Pension Disqualification Act of 1983 was validated on April 21, 1985 by the democratically elected government led by former Prime Minister Herbert A. Blaise. This means that public workers employed after February 22, 1985 are not legally entitled to a pension from the government of Grenada. Fact 2. The judgment in the Hermelin Armstrong case does not create legal precedents for the reinstatement of pension to public workers employed after February 22, 1985. The judgment created a legal precedence only for those workers who joined the public service in a pensionable post between April 4, 1983 and February 22, 1985. There were 56 such workers. The government restored pension to those 56 workers in 2018 at a cost of $7.7 million. Fact 3. All officers employed in a pensionable post who joined the service after February 22, 1985 are not legally entitled to a pension from government. They are only entitled to a pension from NIS once they meet the necessary requirements as per the NIS Act. Fact 4. The Cabinet's decision in 2016 to reform pension is rooted in moral and social justice principles, and it is not a legal obligation. Therefore, any agreement on pension is a win for public workers. Fact 5. The MOU signed between government, the unions, and staff associations in February and March 2018 stated that the pension regime which will be implemented must be affordable and sustainable. Fact 6. The proposed pension regime for public workers employed between February 22, 1985 and December 31, 2018, as stated in the MOU, non-contributory pension plan. Therefore, no deductions will be taken from workers' salaries to finance their pension from government. Pensioners also benefit from any future negotiated salary increases. Fact 7. It was agreed by all parties that a worker's annual pension would be a minimum of 70% of their final salary to be paid jointly by the NIS and the government of Grenada. Fact 8. Government is not obligated to offer an advanced pension payment, commonly called a gratuity. Government has proposed to make an advanced pension payment of 2% of full pension, an amount it can practically and reasonably afford given its current and projected revenue stream. It should be noted that an advanced pension payment is a non-interest-bearing loan that the government grants to the pensioner, which must then be repaid in equal monthly installments in the form of a reduced monthly pension over 12.5 years. Fact 9. Under the proposed 2% advanced pension payment or gratuity, retirees will be entitled to a higher monthly pension than if a larger advanced payment was given. Fact 10. If the government accommodates any higher rate of gratuity, the implications would be severe for the country, as this will translate to higher taxes such as VAT, income tax and property tax, higher import duties, the possibility that hundreds of millions of dollars in grants would be lost, lower expenditure in critical areas such as healthcare, agriculture, roadworks and youth development, retrenchment of workers. These are the facts. The government is committed to an amicable resolution to the pension matter for the good of all Grenadians.
Government reiterates commitment to pension reform. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news from Monday, November 19th, I'm Delroy Louison. The government of Grenada says despite the current impasse in negotiations with public sector trade unions and staff associations, it remains fully committed to pension reform, which will benefit workers in the post-1985 category. Delivering the throne speech during the ceremonial state opening of the second session of the 10th Parliament, Governor-General Her Excellency Dame Cécile Lagrenade said her government takes seriously its moral duty to ensure that retirees are provided with a decent pension for a comfortable standard of living. Government had already taken action to support 56 public officers who were appointed between April 4, 1983 and February 22, 1985 on the basis of the Hamlin-Armstrong judgment. That was done at a cost of $7.7 million.
We must balance this commitment with ensuring that decisions taken do not have negative effects on future generations, but are done within the parameters of the Fiscal Responsibility Law.
Grenada will use its presidency for the 4th Assembly of Small Island Developing States Sustainable Energy and Climate Resilience Organization, SIDS-DOC, to continue lobbying international partners for concessional financing. Governor-General Dame Cécile Lagrenade says the aim is to help build resilience in small states worldwide.
Furthermore, we will continue to impress upon the international community to consider the Caribbean's inherent vulnerabilities when designing policies to graduate small island states from accessing official development assistance. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, building resilience and reducing vulnerabilities go hand in hand. They are indeed the two defining issues of our time and must be placed high on the national development agenda if the gains achieved in recent years are to be maintained.
The throne speech is a precursor to the 2019 estimates of revenue and expenditure, which will be delivered by Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, on Wednesday. Dr. Mitchell told the Government Information Service that the throne speech has set the tone for what is to be presented this week.
Capturing the main theme of even the budget that is to come on Wednesday. It is a resilience of all form, climate, economic, infrastructure, financial resilience, and clearly economic transformation and of course going at improvement in the public service using technology as a way forward, all aspects of economic transformation in the country as a whole. So it was a throne speech, which of course precedes the budget presentation, which comes on Wednesday, which outlines the specific areas of intervention. This is just a broad outline, which is what the throne speech is supposed to be.
Dr. Mitchell says while the throne speech dealt with the plans of his government in a broad spectrum, his task will be to deal with the specifics with regard to his government's plans and policies.
The specifics and all the interventions, all the projects that are coming on stream, those are already on stream and those are people are trying to bring on stream right now. I'll be giving details of this and specific actions that we are taking in as far as innovation is concerned in the public service.
This is the National Report. We'll have more details in just a moment.
The gains and a preview of more gains into the Keith Mitchell administration's economic comeback story on full display in the nation's new state-of-the-art parliament from Monday, November 19th. 2 days that will allow the nation to see and hear the excitement in the Grenada economy that has spurred it on to be the fastest growing in the region. Monday, November 19th from 10 a.m. The throne speech is unveiled as new programs and policies of an achieving administration are outlined by Head of State, Her Excellency Dame Cecile Lagranade. Then, on Wednesday, November 21st, the 2019 estimates of revenue and expenditure are presented by Finance Minister and Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell from 10 in the morning, with unemployment plummeting to its lowest in decades on the back of 5 years of steady economic growth. Confidence remains high in the Grenada economy. Tune in Monday, November 19th for the throne speech and Wednesday 21st for the 2019 budget. 10 a.m. live on National Radio and Television.
Welcome back. The Grenada Chamber of Industry and Commerce, GCIC, is being challenged to play a bigger role in building a Grenada of excellence with regards to the business community. This call from Dr. Theodore Ferguson, who was the featured speaker at the 30th Annual GCIC Business Awards. A ceremony was held under the theme Leading from Above the Line, with the objective of recognizing outstanding businesses in various categories. With his speech centered on leadership development, Dr. Ferguson admonishes the private sector to get proactive in building the business community.
So you want a leadership that can bring excellence. A leadership that can bring out the best in every individual. And in your homes, you can bring out the best in your children, bring out the best in your employees in an organization, bring out the best at the national level if you're a national leader. And that's the kind of leadership that we now advocate, the leadership that we like to see pervade our society, pervade our world. And this type of leadership is not only needed in Grenada, we need it throughout the world. So we have been working in a number of countries around the world, helping to bring transformation. We've done a bit of work in Grenada. We'd like to do a lot more work in Grenada. I still believe that we can make this island of Grenada a very, very special place. And Grenada can play a major leadership role in this world.
President of the GCIC, Abraham Lester Andel, shares the Chamber's advocacy perspective.
At GCIC, your board perspective is to foster dialogue, action, and change. We are on cue for transformative leadership practice through dialogue and collective problem solving. As Chamber President, I have a view that advocacy must be guided by the balanced perspective developed through engagement with other stakeholders. Executive and owners, be reminded that you have to be in it to win it.
Arise Credit Union and Glenelg again copped the Business of the Year and People's Choice Awards, respectively. The Award for Environmental Excellence 2018 went to La Luna Hotel, while Calabash Luxury Hotel picked up the Excellence in Tourism and Service Excellence Awards. Manufacturer of the Year was won by Sissons Paints Grenada Limited. And finally in the news, the Grenada Investment Development Corporation has adopted 3 new policies, which will be applicable to all GIDC personnel, including its board of directors, third parties, and all activities undertaken by GIDC. The activities comprise projects being implemented, as well as foreign and domestic operations. The GIDC says adoption of these policies will assist the corporation in being compliant with all applicable laws and regulations. The adopted policies are anti-bribery and corruption, which is aimed at protecting GIDC's reputation and its operations from bribery and corrupt practices, as well as to provide guidance on the action that should be taken by GIDC personnel when they suspect bribery and corruption. The second is anti-fraud. The intent of this policy is to prevent and deter fraud from occurring within operations. It is aimed at, but not restricted to, protecting the corporation's valuable resources from fraud and loss, as well as outline the internal control systems for reporting and monitoring instances of fraud. The final policy is conflict of interest. This policy is aimed at ensuring that GIDC and its personnel conduct operations in an impartial, ethical, open, and unbiased manner. Its intent also includes, but is not limited to, removing any perception of bias within operations, providing clear direction on managing real, apparent, or potential conflict of interest, and establishing control mechanisms to manage conflict of interest. The policies will take effect on November 30th. And with that story, we end the National Report for today, Monday, the 19th day of November 2018. Recapping the main story in the news, government reiterates commitment to pension reform. That's all from us here at the GIS Newsroom. I'm Delroy Louison. Thanks for joining us.
My soul, I stretch forth my helping hand to help you out. I haven't got diamond, silver, nor even gold, but blessings I give to east, west, north, and south. Oh, Grenada, Grenada, here I come, sweet, sweet Grenada. I will never, ever, ever let you down. Oh no, I'll always be your support, right here by your side, with my arms around you to wipe your weeping eyes. Oh yeah.
And good morning to Grenada, Carriacou, and P. Martinique once again. It is time for Hard Talk. My name is Sheldon Scott, here with you until the 12 o'clock hour. It's now 10:25 minutes after the hour of 10 o'clock on the Spice Island of Grenada. And we are live via 97.5 City Sound FM, broadcasting out there out of River Road, 89.5 CRFM, broadcasting out of Monjaloo, in Carriacou, out of beautiful Hillsborough, 92.9 FM Sister Isle Radio, and in Brooklyn of our Noise Radio We Vibes family, 94.9. Saying a special good morning to all the visitors to our island. Yeah, this time of year it gets extremely cold in other places, and therefore we see their faces as they come to Grenada, the Isle of Spice.
I will never, ever, ever let you down.
Yeah, why hang out in the snow when you could hang out on the beautiful white sandy beaches of Granddad's Beach?
Right here by your side.
You can take a swimming on turquoise waters.
You to wipe your weeping eyes. Let we go.
Rest and reflect. Relax in some sulfur springs, yeah? Many folks are finding out that you don't have to die to come to heaven. All you have to do is book a trip to Grenada. They've got hiking trails, waterfalls, lakes like the Granatang Lake. Lake Antoine. The rainforest.
Listen, it's time that we take a stand to defend your position.
Yes, indeed. Saying a special good morning to all of you joining us online. Remember to like and share the video. Like and share the video. I'm flying solo this morning. I haven't seen my co-pilot yet. I've been trying to reach him in game, so I'm trying to call him again in a time.
Had times they were going through, they still wouldn't help you out if you beg them, please. But woe unto them, little do they know that a good name is better than great riches. Oh, Grenada, Grenada, here I come. Sweet, sweet Grenada. I will never, ever, ever let you down. Oh no, I'll always be a support right here by your side. With my arms around you to wipe your weeping eye.
You know, today I really want to hear from you today. Always want to hear from you. 4407377 and 347-329-3101. We do have a cruise ship in harbor. Many persons visiting our island, taking photographs of our beauty, walking around our beautiful town of St. George, heading up to the northeast area there, going to Willis and New Hampshire and so on, going for smell the spices and to head to the waterfall.
I will never ever.
Going up to the Granatang Lake.
Oh no.
Doing an island tour, going right around, visiting our friends up there, the Sulphur Spring in St. River Sally. Sipping on our beautiful spring water from Glen Elgo, one of the other companies. Morning to you, Antonia. And if they're absolutely lucky, if they've been blessed to be in Grenada for more than just a few hours, they can avail themselves of a trip to Carriacou, where traditions abound. Yeah, whether it's the big drum or it's the funerary feasts and so on. Yes, anybody raising a tombstone in Carriacou?
Right here by your side, with my arms around you.
Or the parang that is coming up. I know they have the parang train going around Carriacou right now. Or one of the most beautiful unacknowledged beaches anywhere in the Caribbean. And I say that without fear or favor. Paradise Beach, Carriacou. I think that beach has the right name. It's always hurtful to me when I go to Carriacou and I can't spend a few hours soaking in the waters of Paradise Beach.
Since you are falling back to the light.
Main Island, you have what we have? We have Grand Anse Beach, we have the other one up in the north of the island there, that's Sleepy La Vera, we have Bathway, we have La Sagesse, we have all those beaches and so on. But the main beach for me in Carriacou, even though you could be right in Hillsborough itself, you could be on the beach right there and you're safe. Main one for me has always been Paradise Beach. Just love that beach. Yeah, Soca Live Wire, send it through, man. I hate a parang with me. Anybody who want to send the parang to me and let me play it? No, I ain't afraid to play it. No, send it. I'm playing it. We're coming up on the Christmas season. So we have literally hundreds of visitors via the cruise ship. And maybe a couple other hundreds, maybe into the thousands, that are staying at the various facilities. Good morning to the staff down there at the Rex Grenadian and the Silver Sands and the what they call the other one? Ramada. What we used to call Ramada. Was it proper name now? Name does change every now and again. So no Ramada. What do you call that one? Forgetting? Yeah, forgetting. Ramada. What that one is now? Radisson. Yes, the Radisson. Yeah. So those staff down there at the Radisson. Oh my, and my friends down at the Spice Isle Beach Resort would never forgive me if I do not say a good morning to them. Gem Holiday Beach Resort, La Luna.
Listen, it's time that we take a stand to defend your post.
Koyaba, Alamanda, Blue Horizon.
just come.
So all the guests and staff at all of those facilities, we say a very special Grenadian good morning.
That they are the reigning champ. While your friends them happy, had times they were going through, they still wouldn't help you out if you beg them please. But woe unto them, little do they know that a good name is better than great riches. Oh, Grenada.
Yes, indeed.
Sweet, sweet Grenada.
Sing the song.
I will never, ever, ever let you down. Oh no. I'll always be a support right here by your side. With my arms around you to wipe your weeping eye.
Folks on the live, remember to like and share. Is you've got all these visitors on the island. Absolute wonderful opportunity for them to photograph, go back and tell their friends and family about the beauty of our island, you know. Yeah, you've got like literally thousands of people here who can go and tell their friends that Grenada is such a beautiful place to visit. Yeah, with such wonderful people. And at that point in time is when some people decide they want to go and march through town, yeah.
With a big festival to wipe your weeping eye. Let we go.
After you've had over 20% increase in visitors to the island in the early part of this year.
If you feel like me.
Which means additional income coming into the country. So those folks who are working at the hotels and so on, and we're not just speaking the day visitors, the people who come with a cruise ship and spend the day. We're speaking here as well as people who stay for a few days. Whether it's for 3 days, whether it's for a weekend, whether it's for a week, whether it's for 2 weeks, who have been visiting Grenada and staying for extended period of time. We've been seeing a 20% increase in the first part of this year.
Grenada.
And tourism is a very fragile thing. You don't hear about people going to visit Somalia. That's not a tourism destination. You don't hear about people going to Libya. That's not a tourism destination. Even next door to Trinidad. You don't hear about people going to Trinidad and cruise ships going to Trinidad. There's a reason for that. Because they do not trust the atmosphere in those countries. And our tourism product is such a fragile product that the actions of a few can really affect the many. Yeah? It can affect each and every one of us. Yeah? Many of us tend to put this thing called Grenada behind everything else. So, you know, they like to put all kind of politics and this and that in front and then put the thing called Grenada way behind, yeah?
Grenada is such a beautiful country.
So while we have thousands of visitors, each of them with their little mobile phones and so on, taking pictures, sending to Instagram, sending to all sorts of things, sending to Instagram, sending to Facebook, to their 5,000 friends on Facebook. And if you have 100 people with 5,000 each, you know, they're going to get to about 500,000, yeah? That's 500,000 people, yeah? Who then can send that message on to their friends that Grenada is not a place you should visit, innit?
And if I'm wrong, don't say that I'm right.
Because some people decided that they're going to pass at that point in time. There's supposed to be a second cruise ship today. Who knows why it didn't come? Could it be that they heard that there's some sort of protest going to take place and they didn't want to expose the visitors on that ship to what may or may not be taking place in Grenada?
I am proud. I love my Grenada.
Now, you know who's going to suffer at the end of the day in that? The market vendors and the people who sell the spices and so to those visitors, the people who work in that industry that provides services to the visitors to our country. The same people that have no, whether it's 2%, 5%, 20% or 100%, whatever in gratuity, and nothing in pensions to receive. The people who depend on this time of year to take them through the period when the cruise ships aren't coming and when the number of visitors aren't as high as it is around this time of year. The ones who have their children to send to school, the schools are open but the teachers are not there. The ones who have their children to send to school, the ones who have their families to take care of, yeah? They are the ones that are suffering when things like this are done without consideration for them. And they are the very same ones, should government agree to any payment, that are going to feel the brunt of the burden in having to pay it. When the value-added tax is increased so that you could keep within your limits and so on and not end up in a situation where you have to be finding money and borrowing money to pay, when that happens, it's the same people, the spice vendors, the taxi operators who are on the down there at the cruise ship terminal and so on right now. It's these same people who are going to have to find the 25%. This absolute dotish statement about Dr. Mitchell go find the money, he doesn't have to find anything. He could find the formula, but it's me and you that have to dip deeper in our pockets to pay it, yeah? So who don't understand that? All well and good. We have a caller online. Good morning. Hello? Good morning? Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's me and you. Because some people have turned this thing into a political footballer. As far as they're concerned, this is all about politics for them. So you see various people who still can't get over the licking that they got in 2013 and still can't get over the licking they got in 2018 are trying to use this as an opportunity to rise and say that they're going to take the government to task and that sort of nonsense, yeah? That they feel they're going to be taking the government to task and so on, not realizing that they are putting their own selves into a position where the 25% is coming out of your pocket, eh? If you hear of an increase in property tax, the 25% have to be paid somehow. My homeland forever. Sing the Imani trainees that are there right now, if you get a notification that the Imani program is being closed or that the Imani program is being downsized and you receive a letter to go home, it's because the 25% had to pay somehow. But a lot of folks don't realize. The bus drivers, if you get a little notification that the parts that you have to be buying regular, like your brakes and your tires and so on, that the price had to go up a little bit because you had to put a little VAT on it because it's something that is a consumable that's used regularly and that you're all paying for on a consistent basis and so on. If you get a little notification that you had to pay a little more on that, it's the 25% had to pay. Because some people are just saying pay it, but they don't realize, if they're willing, no problem. Good morning.
Good morning, sir, Mr. Scott. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, Ade, man. How are you?
Well, not bad at all.
Mr. Hard Talk.
I'm just there. I'm just there hanging in here, man. All is well?
Yeah, for the time being.
All right. I just want to make my little contribution as usual.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I am sort of disappointed,
Mm-hmm.
in people who are supposed to be educated and should be leading our young people onto the right path. Now, at a time, you look at the season now, we are in the tourist season, and you will pass and see a big ship dock there where people come to enjoy the whole scenery and look at the place. And, coming to look at that, in our country, I believe our people, some of our people, should think a little bit more. You look at it was something that was, and as far as I am seeing, based on what I've seen with my eyes, there is no doubt that this is politically motivated, and I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for anybody else. I am speaking based on what I'm seeing and based on what I'm hearing. And you see, Mr. Scott, a couple of weeks ago, this very...
Hey, hold on, Hold on, brother. Yes. Before you go any further, I know Mr. Scott with you, You is Ian and I Sheldon. We go back too far for this Mr. Scott business.
Thank you very much.
Right. So a few weeks ago, go ahead. Yeah.
When I meet you, doesn't say Mr. or say Sheldon, but you know when we have young people, anybody listening, you understand?
Bye, Sheldon. Go right ahead. A few weeks ago.
Very well, Sheldon. Yeah, so I was saying a couple of weeks ago, these very sad people are marching through the streets of Grenville and Tong and Guave and saying, love the child. We care for the child. We care for our nation's children. Are we showing that today? Are these people showing today that they really care about the nation's children, or we care about the money? And it is clear that we do not have our nation. I mean, teachers work hard. We know that. And nobody envies wouldn't be so stupid to say what teachers do not work hard. But are we showing now that we really care about the young people? Are we showing that we'll be prepared to sacrifice for the young people of our country? You know, we can go to work and we can negotiate, we can speak. None of us, we're not saying, I wouldn't say that the teachers doesn't deserve what they're supposed to get, but at the same time, we have to understand. The other thing is I'm saying, there was supposed to be, I don't know law, but I have a lot of common sense. The government filed an injunction. Based on the reasoning, the government have seen it fit to withdraw the injunction. So even these educated people I'm subjected to correction here shouldn't say, okay, the government withdraw the injunction because they want us to go back to the table. So then shouldn't we say today, let us also withdraw our actions? In my opinion, that should have been done. So the government is trying to meet you, but you're not trying to meet the government. All the authorities have to say, okay, the government did that, so let us also withdraw our protest action that we had planned for today, and let us go back to the table and negotiate. Simple. I could recall Oliver Joseph. I could recall him saying that we are willing to go back to the negotiating table. What are the authorities saying? So then if you stick to your point, I must stick to my point. And so how could we go forward? I am saying, based on what I'm hearing, the government is willing to meet with you, but you're not willing to meet with us. So how can we come to an agreement? I believe today, indeed, in my opinion, it is a sad day for Grenada. It is nothing nice for Grenada due to the actions of a few people. And I am saying here that would not take Grenada. And, you know, one of the things I say to Sheldon, there are persons who realize that Grenada is developing. You look at the economic situation in this country. And Grenada is rated right now one of the best countries in the entire Caribbean to visit. But there are those who intend to spoil it. And they say we love Grenada. How could we love Grenada for a few dollars? Come on. I hope and pray that the union will decide, okay, government willing to meet us, let us meet them, let us sit down, let us chat and see how we could go past whatever is there. I think it could happen. Good sense must prevail. That's my contribution.
All right, my brother. And I hope all is well with you, though.
Well, yes, all is well by the grace of God. You know, once you have God in your life and you put God in front, all is well.
How are things going at Mount Pisgah?
Say again?
How are things going at Mount Pisgah?
Well, not bad at all. Not complaining at all. We are doing quite well. We are doing quite well by the grace of God. You know.
Mm-hmm. All right, my brother. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, my friend, you too.
All right, bless.
Good night.
All right, 440-7377. That's 440-7377. That's the number for you to call and get onto the inside. And yeah, Ian just made a very valuable point there, because last night I saw some political activists of a particular party jumping up, saying that the government lose. Oh, them rich and them. You see, they withdraw the injunction that they had filed. Now, government has been the one that is holding the moral high ground on this issue. I say that without any fear or favor. The reason being, since the 3rd of October, because I still hearing people saying that the government should invite the unions back to the table. The unions are the ones that walked out from the table on the 3rd of October. Today is what, the 20th of November? They walked off the table on the 3rd of October. The government has been asking them since then. You heard it repeated by the Cabinet Secretary last week, Sunday. You heard it repeated last week, Tuesday, by Minister Oliver Joseph, asking the unions to return to the table. They have steadfastly refused. Yeah? Now they were invited to a meeting with the Minister of Labor They're refusing to go to the meeting with the Minister of Labour. And all that is happening is the government has decided that if the reason that they refuse to return to the table is that government has filed an injunction, which injunction was filed over a month and some days since they were refusing to return to the table. If that is keeping you from coming to meet with the minister to come to a place where both sides can sit down and discuss the issue, if the injunction is what is keeping that from happening, the government, as any government that cares and is willing to work with people, decided they withdrew the injunction. So they withdrew the injunction so that the meeting can take place. We didn't hear anybody say, well, okay, they withdraw the injunction. Let's hold off on March and so on because they have visitors to the island and that kind of thing. No. So in other words, we want with 25%. But the vendors who in town right now, who depending on that cruise ship and the people who work in the industry that provide services to those cruise ships and so on, who depending on that money, these people still have to find the 25% to pay you if you get through in getting 25%. These are the people that have to find the 25% to pay you. They have to dip deeper in their pockets. Whether it's the price of sugar, is the price of rice, is the price of flour, is the price of Pampers, is the price of rum and cigarettes, whatever it is. Whether you have a vice or you don't have a vice, the advice is that it's going to go up by 25%. You're going to see it. Things are going to go up because the money has to be found somewhere to pay. And you cannot go and borrow. You're not going to put yourself into a situation again where the national debt of Grenada is into the billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. You're not going to go into that situation, not when you have gotten it down to manageable levels. So you're not going to go into that direction. But some people want us to go in that direction because they feel that there's some political windfall to gain from all of this. And meanwhile, you have the unions telling the people come out and march and come out and protest. And then when the government says to them, well, listen, you have a right to protest, and according to the labor laws, we have a right not to pay when you protest. So it's simple. You will not be paid for the days that you miss. So all who are protesting today, we do hope that both the Grenada Union of Teachers and the Public Workers Union has enough money to pay you. Simple. Because you can't expect the vendor who wants a little help with house repair because the dry season is coming up, best time to do some house repair so that when the rain comes around again, they don't have the challenges that they would have. Or who needs that road in the area done that could not have been done during the wet season because the material could just wash away and so according to where it is. But that road that can be fixed, be it under a special project or a larger project, during the dry season that's coming up, that can no longer be done now because that money has to be pulled and used to pay out these things. Yeah? Now that that is the situation, is that fair to them? You're denying them the ability to make a money today because many people who are on that cruise ship who are seeing the venue that this march is supposed to start at, whatever size it is, if they see that, they ain't coming off, you know. They ain't coming off because they could get everything they need to get on the ship, you know. They ain't coming off. And as I said, another ship was supposed to come today. He ain't come. Who knows? Who knows the reason it didn't come? 440-7377. And for those of you outside of Grenada, 347-329-3101. Again, that overseas number, 349-329-3101. You have to understand the tourism industry is a fickle thing. But that's only one aspect of it. The people working in the industry, they are the ones that are going to suffer today and are going to suffer afterwards. Yeah? So I hope that they have a little strike fund because the vendors, the taxi drivers who supply the tourist industry and so. They ain't have no strike fund, you know. For when you do something and it affects them, that they could go to the association and say, well, we need some money. They ain't have that. I think I hear something like the Public Workers Union and them talking about they ain't have no strike fund. Or the GUT talking about, oh, you could call workers out to strike and you don't have a strike fund, bro. Something had to be wrong with that. And no Tahu have a strike fund. How much they have in the fund is a different case. I know Tahu have a strike fund. But how you could call your workers off the job and not have a strike fund to provide for them when the employer, according to law, decides that they're not going to pay for days off? Because you're putting some teachers and civil servants into a situation where they will be losing 25% of their salary. Well, now it's over 25%. More along the region of 33% of their salary that they would be losing. Yeah? Not that they might see that at the end of this month, but at the worst time, when they're looking for their salary in the month of December for Christmas is when they wouldn't have it. Because government has stated its position that, look, it's not going to pay for days missed. There's no industrial dispute before the Labour Minister on this issue, and therefore they're doing what they have to do. Okay, people just not appearing. I mean, it's the same vendors, it's the same bus drivers, it's the same children when they buy the little soft drink and a different thing. It's all of us that paying the taxes, that paying the salaries. It's all of us. Yeah, so is it fair to all of us that you stay away and be paid? No, the government is doing what it has to do. The government is not representing itself. It's representing each and every one of us, including itself, including the opposition, including those people who are marching today. And I do not agree, because I've been seeing it all over Facebook and so, that teachers don't care about students. I believe that many persons are being misled. I know teachers care. I know many teachers who really seriously care. I wouldn't make that statement and say that teachers don't care. I don't think it's a right statement to make. I don't think it's a correct statement. I've interacted with teachers on a daily basis. There are some that couldn't give two flying fig. They didn't care. There are some, seriously, there are some teachers, as in everything, you have good and bad. You have some teachers that couldn't care. As far as they're concerned, they wish this thing could go until next year, so they could stay home and do Christmas cleaning one time. Christmas cleaning, but we ain't no way to get any money to buy anything for Christmas. Anyhow, yeah, check your union. Maybe you all need to check the union and find out, is there a strike fund? If there is not a strike fund, why is there not a strike fund? Yeah? If there is no strike fund, as happens around the world, if there is no strike fund, why is there no strike fund? What is the money that is coming into the union on a monthly basis, not yearly basis, not every 2 months, not quarterly, every month? What is the money that's coming out of the teacher's salary and the public workers' salaries? What is it being used for? Okay, you're telling me now you don't have a strike fund? Or you don't want to touch the strike fund? Or is the strike fund not there? Why is it? And I see Kester saying here, in 5 years, virtual teachers in the classroom. That's what's going to happen. Everything is going computerized. I visited some schools in Texas a few years ago, and quite a significant aspect of the educational component there was being done via technology. Yeah? They did have the virtual classroom. In fact, it may even reach to a stage that you may find that in 20 years from now, it may sound weird, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, your children may not have to leave home to go to school. No, seriously. And unions are not taking this thing into consideration, you know. That sooner rather than later, the way things are being done are not the way they will continue being done. For them to be arguing and trying to speak about retraining and protecting different aspects of things. Instead, they're looking to play politics with this because the only argument that they keep putting forward is that politicians receiving a gratuity and a pension. But for some of the things you always feel you could tell a politician and do a politician, because I've been through it, I believe they deserve a pension and a gratuity. That's my personal belief. That's my personal belief. Because I know what they does go through. Because I've been through it. Because a lot of them that's speaking there about government and politicians getting the pension and gratuity, you're not seeing them jumping up and saying, well, okay, take it out and so on, you know. Because they have an intention of getting in there. They have an intention of becoming politicians and government ministers and so in the future. Many of them are here making statements. They have their intention, you know. And the worst thing is I saw Facebook is giving a lot of trouble today. I saw the NDC trying to play like if they're the saints in a matter like this. The NDC needs to shut up. They had between 1990 and 1995 to remove the Pension Disqualification Act and to remove the Act for parliamentarians getting any pension and so on. They did not. They had the opportunity between 2008 and 2013 to do the same thing, to remove the Pension Disqualification Act and to remove the parliamentarians' pension. They did not. They have no moral authority to speak on issues like these. During the period 2008 to 2013 was the worst period for workers. But because some people within unions play politics, they didn't strike during that point in time. And because the then opposition, New National Party, was unwilling to play politics with the future of the nation and encourage different sectors to go and strike, and they're going to get the support of the party, they didn't have any strikes during that period of time because it would have only been damaging to the nation. I know of different sectors that came to the then opposition leader, now Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, and asking for support to go and strike during that period of time. Dr. Mitchell said, no, there's nothing for Grenada to gain. He said, I personally, as a politician, my political organization may gain from it, but the country would lose. But yet still, I am sure that if you go around that march today, don't be surprised to see one or two executive members of the NDC around and activists of the NDC around. Don't be surprised at all, because you have instigators pushing certain things in this country. Instigators pushing certain things in this country. So you're telling me unions cannot find money to pay strike fund, so they can't find money to pay the workers for the days that they have missed due to their strike action, but they could find money to pay Jimmy Bristol? Jimmy ain't cheap enough. Or is Jimmy doing this one pro bono? Yeah? Jimmy Philly doing this one pro bono? Jimmy ain't cheap enough. You had to pay Jimmy. Seriously. He ain't become a multi-millionaire just so, you know. You had to pay Jimmy. But maybe you never know. He might decide he want to do this one pro bono. He might lend a couple million to the unions to try and top up the strike fund so they could pay some workers and so. You never know. And Jimmy? Yeah. The hypocrisy. You can't find money to pay for your strike fund. So what has been happening to all the deductions that coming out of workers' salary and going toward the unions? And you see this thing about the unestablished workers paying union dues and so on and not being properly represented? That is a problem. I've seen some of them speaking out online that they have been paying their union dues, yet when something is organized, yeah? Something is organized. At the end of the day, they ain't getting nothing. They're only arguing for established staff. They're not arguing for the unestablished staff. So you have a pile of people and then they want to cuss them when they go to work. But they're going to work because they realize you all only care about yourself. when you go and you argue and you make your agreement and all kind of thing, you're purposely leaving out the unestablished staff. You're only arguing for yourself. Even the discussions taking place right now, the Memorandum of Understanding, they didn't decide to argue for all staff in one, They put one section for the established and one for the unestablished. And they say, let me argue for the established first. We go deal with the unestablished later. Well, yeah, unestablished waiting day. They pay in union dues, same as everybody else. They should be afforded the same type of treatment. And if TAU know that they strike fund low on cash, they better top it up because, Brother Andre, comrade, you got to find the money and pay. Because the government is not legally bound to pay any worker who out on strike. And you know this. So once you and the PWU, Comrade Sister Rachel Roberts, Comrade Brian Grimes, yeah, Comrade Lloyden, once you all have decided to bring your workers out, you have to dip in to your strike fund or tell the workers what has been happening to their money. Yeah, that is supposed to be there in a strike fund. And tell them before Christmas, I know a lot of the finance officers and them not are wrong right now and that kind of thing, Yeah, a lot of the finance officers, they're not are wrong right now. We know that. We know the finance officers not wrong. So I hope that they at least put in the documentation before the 15th so people could get paid and so. Yeah? The phone number 440-7377, that's 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. We've been having some problems with the Facebook link. But folks, you could also get us on YouTube. Just remember that. You can get us on YouTube, Hard Talk Grenada on YouTube. Facebook is giving a bit of problems today. Not just for you, for everyone. Yeah, for some reason, Facebook giving a lot of problems today. Yeah, he chose today to give a lot of problems, boy. In
the Caribbean, there's an island, found and set aside by nature's plan. It's so beautiful to see. Really? Spice Island of the West. Lovely. And in the West Indies, I say Grenada, please. Overwhelmingly glad we are.
And we have a call online. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hey, Sheldon.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Do you know what the average salary of a qualified teacher at the moment from where you sit?
It's according to the category that they fall in. I have the budget document. I could check it out. I can't say it off the top of my head. No, I'm saying that I have the budget documents, so I could probably check it. It's according to the grade that the teacher is at. It's not a standard thing that everybody is at one level. It's according to the grade that you are at.
Yeah, okay. Because a teacher was telling me that when in January, when the new negotiations, well, the 4% kick in, he would be like 4,000. And I was saying, well, I mean, I find that a decent salary, so I was trying to get an average,
Yeah, you have.
Like right now, it's about 3.7.
You have some who would be in that category. You may have one or two who have recently entered the service that are at a different grade that might be slightly lower. And you have some that would be higher.
Okay.
Some with degrees and so on that would be much higher.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool.
All right, my brother. Yeah, so 4,000 according to the grade that the teacher is at. That's why in the public service you have different grades. And salaries are paid according to the different grade that you at. That's why you may find a secretary that is working for under 2,000, and you may find a secretary that's working for 2,500. You may even find a secretary that's been in the service for a long period of time that's working for closer to 3. It's according to the grade that they are at within the service. Yeah? So I don't want to go and say that this is it. I have this budget document I could go through and get the grades and give you. Also, to let you all know before I forget, it's now 6 minutes after the hour of 11 o'clock. Tomorrow, we're going to be having the budget presentation. Yeah, yesterday we had the throne speech by Her Excellency Dame Cécile Lagrenade, Governor General of Grenada, laying out government's plans and projects for the next year. Yeah, but you're going to hear more in-depth discussion of that during the Prime Minister's, Minister of Finance. He's not doing it in his capacity as Prime Minister. He's doing the address in his capacity as Minister of Finance tomorrow. And then afterward, not tomorrow, but Thursday and Friday, if I have my information correct, you will be hearing the other members of Parliament giving their particular reports on their ministries. So we expect, for instance, to hear the Honorable Kate Skeeter-Lewis speaking on issues like the Imani and the Empower program and so on, all of these programs that are taking place. Honorable Yolande Bain-Hosford speaking on agriculture. And so we'll be hearing the different ministers speaking on their individual areas, yeah? So that one will be a nice one, yeah, nice.
The government will keep all of its commitment to all of the workers, and it is committed to doing so in a fair and responsible manner. Under government's pension proposals, it will give a smaller upfront payment to all public servants and higher monthly pension, on average $400 more than the unions are demanding. In the end, workers get all their money, but government's proposal ensures that all the other many commitments to all other citizens are met. We can only build strong communities when we look out for each other. The true Grenadian spirit is always reasonable.
The Royal Grenada Police Force Band presents Christmas Brass 10, Sunday, 9th December 2018, 5 p.m. at the Grenada Trade Center. Produced by Ricardo Kins Douglas, the show that sets the standard. Featuring Edson Mitchell, Dia Jama, Randall Robinson, Sonaika McKee, Jefferson Ramirez, Denison Andrew, Lion Paul, Zorina Andrew Andel, Paul Alexander, Gregory McLean, Shondell Amadei, Dash, and many more. Adults $45, children under 12 pay $20. Get your tickets now. Canadian Optical Laboratory, Melville Street and Spiceland Mall, Mitchell's Pharmacy, Grandin Shopping Center, Gittins Pharmacy, Halifax Street and Grandin. Sponsored by Netherlands Insurance, Hubbard's, Grenada Trade Center, Huggins, Grenada Cooperative Bank, Grenada Distillers Limited, Rubies, Waggy Rentals and Sound, and Not South Wines. Christmas Brass 10.
Four 4407377. That's the number for you to call and get onto the inside. You all want to pay the 25%? Come on, it's you that has to pay it. This kind of thing about Dr. Mitchell finding money, and I mean, I've been looking at some of the placards because I'm seeing the things, seeing some of the placards and personal attacks on Prime Minister Mitchell, personal attacks on Honorable Peter David.
That no one can understand.
Not we care about our nation's children. The placards ain't saying things like this. We care about our nation's children, so care about us. No, we ain't seeing placards like that. Is all you're getting pension money, we want ours too. Or we close down the quote-unquote effing school. That's why a teacher walking within town. Yeah, we close down the effing school. So that's the way that we operate in our country these days, yeah. So they don't really care about anybody else, innit? Yeah. That's what you're trying to tell us, because I actually was saying, no, that you all care. I didn't realize the only thing you all care about is attacking the Prime Minister and the Minister of Labour. I didn't realize that. And the Minister of Education.
You live in a sunny clime all the time. It's forever summertime all the time.
And this nonsense about teachers are receiving no pension right now, that is totally false. And public workers are not receiving a pension, that is not true. public workers and teachers are receiving a pension through a contributory pension scheme called the National Insurance Scheme. They're not getting a gratuity, but they are getting a pension through the, say it with me, National Insurance Scheme, which is a contributory scheme. We have a caller online. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Scott.
Hey, morning, sir.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. I have a comment to make. Hello?
Yes, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. I've been listening and watching this impasse that's going on between the trade union and government. And I've been listening to certain utterances from certain political activists and the opposition. And I've been saying that a long time. This strike and other things are going on there. They're not really striking for the same money or this pension thing, you know. I just feel it is politically motivated. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Because what they feel that the referendum is a failure on the government part. So they're claiming that they won. The people have listened to the no plea, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So they feel now that if they shut down the country, the government go forced to call, election early, and they have a chance now to, let me say, impress upon the people, so they will get a seat or two in parliament. Okay? That's my take on that.
All right, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
No, well, we know that's what's going on, that the issue, because one, there's no issue in relation to pension. Both sides, the government side and the union side, are in agreement in relation to pension. But you won't hear that certain places. Both sides are in agreement to pension. Both sides are in agreement that the pension will be restored and reformed at 70% of the last salary that the person worked for. So that is agreed. The crunch matter now is when it comes to the issue of gratuity payments, which are front payments in relation to all the money that they have to collect over the 12.5 or 12.6 years. That's the crux of the matter right now. Gratuities is the issue, not pension. And I'm surprised that people I would think I'd rather spend more time educating some children and so, because I can understand how some people who are educators are still speaking like if pension is the issue. Pension is not the issue. Gratuity and what rate of gratuity is the issue, not pensions. Pension is not an issue right now. Yeah, there's an agreement on that. 70% of the last salary you work for. If you work for $5,000, then your pension on a monthly basis will be 70% of $5,000. You work for $10,000, your salary at the end of every month is going to be 70% of $10,000. That's what you're going to get as your pension every month. That's how much the government is going to ensure that you get at the end of every month in conjunction with the National Insurance Scheme. So if you're working for $10,000, it's not like government is going to give you $7,000. But to get out the percentage that you're getting from NIS, government will top it up to make sure that your total take-home is $7,000. Yeah? So pension is not the issue. So I'm surprised that some people are speaking about pension as if pension is the issue. Yeah? Pension is not the issue, yeah? Gratuity is the issue here. Peas porridge, hot peas porridge, cold, pay me my effing pension before I get old. Yeah, that's what somebody would actually walk around with in town today. You understand? Yeah, and in front of the cruise ships too. The same people who had to find the 25% to pay. The vendors who selling to them and the taxi drivers who working with them and so on. These same people have to find the 25%, along with every one of you listening right now. And if you're outside of Grenada, your relatives that are here, they're the ones that are going to feel the tax burden at a time when we should be slackening on the taxes, trying to reduce on the amount of taxation. Yeah? Instead of that, now you have to start considering, well, boy, if we had to do that, we had to do this. We had to chop the bushing program. Yeah. Chop the bushing program. Chop it. close it down or reduce it significantly so that you save that money. Instead of that money being used to do the bushing and so on, that you use that money and you pay the pensions and gratuities, especially the gratuities. Yeah? And the money, some of whom have so misguidedly decided that they were staying home too. Well, check your salary at the end of the month. But those Imani that decided that they staying home and so too, and they ain't going out and report, and they in solidarity and that sort of thing, not realizing that the same people that you're in solidarity with are the ones that are attacking the program and saying that they find money for that, so find money for them. So in other words, close the program and take the 20-something million or 30-something million that you're paying on that program and give them. You stay home. But that's what you're supporting. Yeah? No, you all know me. I like to talk plain. That's what some of you all supporting. Some of you all like that. So you're supporting that, ain't it? Nice, yeah. Maybe you didn't know that you're supporting. 440-7377. And this nonsense about Dr. Mitchell signed for 25% or the NNP or the government signed for 25% and there was 25% being spoken about. That is a lie. Stop misleading people. Not 25% was signed to. In fact, in one of the documents that Comrade Sister Rachel Roberts put forward to the media, it said the 25% was based on discussions, further discussions with the Ministry of Finance. And that is what is taking place. In other words, sticking to what was agreed. I'm trying to find out what wasn't agreed to and then talking about find one. Because I see, and you see, that just shows the power of some people not listening. They don't listen. That's some of the same people that talking about 25% have been circulating a video of Dr. Mitchell speaking at one of the rallies during election where he spoke of the restoration and reformation in this issue of pensions for public workers and not realizing that they are actually making the case for government with the video that they're circulating. Only an idiot or someone who is lacking the cognitive ability to comprehend, in other words, the dotish, would look at that video, listen to it, and come to the conclusion that he said anything about 25%. He never mentioned no figures. Yeah? And then you have the people like the Jimmy Bristol. I don't know where they get that one. They dust him off from somewhere and they bring him back to try and make him relevant. That come now talking about unconstitutional and what unconstitutional kind of thing. Well, if the thing is unconstitutional, take it to court. Take it to court. Let the matter pass through the High Court, pass through the OECS Appeal Court and go to the Privy Council. Take it to court. If they have money for strike fund, I wonder if they have money for the Privy Council. Well, they could have been going to the CCJ, but that ain't they. So, take it to the Privy Council. Yeah? What's the problem? If I am having my constitutional rights breached, my next move would be to file a case. I would go through the High Courts of Grenada, go through the OECS Appeals Court if necessary, and go through the Privy Council if necessary. But me have money for the Privy Council, so I can't go there. So I'll stop at the OECS. Yeah? But I would go that direction. If you know that you have a case and you're saying it's unconstitutional, and I did not watch the program last night, so I don't want to judge. But I'll say this. If Miss Madonna Harford is saying that this was unconstitutional, that's a serious indictment on her. And the reason I say it's a serious indictment on her is because, remember, she was the PWU president for several years. What was done in relation to that unconstitutional issue? Was it brought to the courts? Was it pursued? I'm hoping that's not what she said. I haven't heard the interview last night, so I need to look at it. I don't want to be commenting on things. You know me, I don't like to comment on things that I did not see or hear for myself. I want to hear it for myself. I want to see it for myself. I did not. I would like to, but I did not. Yeah, no, Facebook giving a lot of problems, man. I can't even get it. Yeah? Now, they're saying Bristol and others are saying 25% enshrined in law. MOU signature is no longer if they da. Well, yeah, if they had to see that I get faster deliberation, but they want that. So, stick with the Privy Council. And I'm trying to get some of the comments here. I'm trying to get some of the comments that are there. Yeah, trying to see one or two of them. So I know exactly. Let me see. Nah. Yeah. I'm pretty, I want to know, because if that is, I don't know, anybody that heard what was said last night can give me a call. Anyone that heard the program last night, from what they understood, you can give me a call, because I did not see the program last night. All right, a 440-7377, or if you're outside of Grenada, 347-329-3101. Yeah? There is no 25% in the Constitution of Grenada. No. There's no percentage in the Constitution of Grenada. There's no reference to figures when it comes to the issues of pensions and gratuity in the Constitution of Grenada. None. And I can quote which sections I'm referring to, 92 and 93 of the Constitution of Grenada. There are no reference to the percentage. So anyone coming out and telling you that is attempting to mislead you. Go to the government printery, get a copy of your Constitution, don't fret. We have a caller online. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When the Constitution of Grenada was reinstated, was it unconstitutional to keep the National Insurance Scheme? That's the question I have.
No, it was not. It was not. The thing is that the governing power in time would have been the People's Revolutionary Government. And they suspended, they didn't remove her. They suspended the Constitution during that period of time. It was a technical thing that the late Lloyd Noel did. In suspending the Constitution during that period of time. And I'm wondering, I'm seeing what's happening here. Yeah. For those of you that have been trying to reach us on the overseas line, I've just realized what the problem was. Yeah. The automatic answer button was on and I was not seeing it. I kept wondering when I touched the button and put it on. So you can call us 347-329-310. I'm very sorry about that for those of you, because I kept looking and seeing the overseas line engaged, knowing that I didn't engage it and wondering what was taking place, but the automatic answer was engaged. It's okay now, you can call now. All right? Yeah. So the National Insurance Scheme, because if what they're saying is that the National Insurance Scheme is illegal, it means, therefore, all of we had to get back our money out of it because it's illegal. We had to get back every cent we pay into the National Insurance Scheme. You want to open that one? Let me go. Yeah. Because what was repealed was the 1958 Act only in the cases of people who entered the service after the 4th of April 1983. The Hermelin Armstrong case did not seek to find the law invalid, but it sought to find the point in time that the law became valid, which would have been the 22nd of February, 1985. So Ms. Hermelin Armstrong, who entered the service between the 4th of April, 1983 and the 22nd of February, 1985, along with 55 other people, are being considered as anyone else prior to the 4th of April, 1983, as under the 1958 law. But that doesn't extend it to anybody after the 22nd of February, 1985. If someone is saying that it does, then all they have to do is file a matter in court to get legal clarity on the situation. Well, you know, Jimmy looking for more work again because he had to make more money off of this thing. So, yeah, technically what Jimmy telling all you is bring the thing to court. Take another 10, 12 years before this issue could be sorted out, but bring it to court. Yeah? Isn't that what he's saying? We have a caller online. Good morning.
Good morning, Senator Scott, and good morning to everyone in Grenada, Carriacou, and PD Martin.
Morning, bro.
Including my mom. Including my mother in Dabo. Miss Carrie, good morning. Senator Scott.
Yes, sir.
I've been listening to you for the past week, you and Devon, and concerning this whole thing. Because something I'm trying to understand why in Grenada why it's different to in Canada. I don't know if that came back from way back in, like the gratuity thing way back. I don't know. You might have to explain to me and, some of the folks outside here when that started, this gratuity thing. Because out here, when you work, Sheldon, in Quebec is different from the federal. There is two different pensions I'll be getting.
Mm-hmm.
One, when it's supposed to be 65, right, my age bracket. But at age 60, the Quebec government say you could take your pension. But you have to, they'll give you a penalty for that.
Mm-hmm.
So let me say they're taking out 30% out of your pension. It's up to you if you want to take it now or you want to wait till you're 65.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, most people take it when the time comes because you don't know if you will live for the other 5 years and more. The federal now, they changed it the last 2 years to 40. If you make like 40 years in the workforce, you will get a pension higher than the ordinary person who make 30 or who make 10. But before that, Sheldon, everybody gets almost the same pension, even though you work or you don't work. Mm-hmm. So now they're trying to change that for the last 2 years. They're trying to change that, which I think is fair. Now, I'm trying to understand Grenada pension, and you're going to explain it to me after. In Grenada, when you retired, you say you're entitled to a gratuity?
Only those who are affected by the 1958 Act.
Okay, that was way before they make those things, okay.
So anyone who entered the service of Grenada prior to the 4th of April 1983, those persons, anybody in 1970-something and so on, and up to 1982 and the 4th of April 1983. Now, the thing is that when the law was changed in 1984, it was not enacted until the 22nd of February 1985. So anybody within that space of time is also considered to be under the 1958 Act. No one outside of that is considered to be under the 1958 Act. They are considered to be under the Pension Disqualification Act of 1983, which means that instead of government giving a pension without taking anything from the workers, they are under a contributory pension scheme, which is the national insurance scheme.
Okay, yeah, because everything has changed.
Yeah.
But
what so some of them are trying to say now is NS is illegal.
Yeah, because so then why Dr. Mitchell go back? Because my thing, I looking at the government went back and say, okay, everybody had to get something more because they find the money the national insurance scheme was given is not enough.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Because I want to tell you, because nobody touched that issue except the NNP. And I don't understand it. Why the NNP go and interfere that so? Because I know it will go right back to the early days in Gary time when we're going right back again. And the only way to try to give a government problem who is doing so well is going back and demonstration again. Shall we go over that over and over? And that's the only way out for some people. You see? Go back to demonstration. Nobody in saying the teachers don't deserve nothing. The Prime Minister always saying the teachers and them deserve something. The Grenadian people deserve something. And before he leave office, he tried his best to give them something before he left.
In fact,
and I think everybody got that message.
Because if nobody is saying that the teachers don't deserve 25%, government isn't saying that. Government has never said the teachers do not deserve or public workers do not deserve the 25%. That is not the issue. The issue is not who deserve and who don't deserve. The issue is, can the country afford it? Not if Peter David is the Minister of Labour.
And that was a problem for a long time since Dr. Mitchell trying to figure out that puzzle. Since he's trying to figure that puzzle out, that was the thing. He's willing to give them something, but how could they get it done? That come to our... And if they wait till they retired And you say, okay, I'll give you 2% now and give you, because you know how money run. And you, at the time, anytime you retire, you're going to get 98%. What's wrong with that? That is what I asked him. That's what the million-dollar question is. What's wrong with that?
But my friend, you know one of the other problems that I'm seeing here? Now, as it is right now, if they get the gratuity, you get your gratuity, you get your one-off payment, be it $30-something thousand or $250,000. So you get your $250,000 and you have that, but you have not reached the retirement age. It still means you have to wait until you reach the retirement age, be it 15 years, 10 years, whatever. You wait until you reach that age until you start getting your monthly payments, the reduced monthly payments, because you took the gratuity. But when you're getting the reduced payments, which only go up when the public workers get a little something, it doesn't address the issue of the cost of living going up or going down or anything, you know. So if you have a higher,
that's a fact.
In other words, if you have a higher monthly payment, you would be better able to cope with any fluctuations in the cost of living than if you have a lower monthly payment. In other words, it's better to have $1,900 at the end of the month than to have $1,500. So it's up to them.
Why the union do not willing to sit down and discuss that part? They don't want to hear nothing more than 25%.
And the problem here is there are individuals out there with nothing but political motives. Anyone coming with that argument, just you could close your eye and see them wearing that particular T-shirt. It's political. That the government is unwilling to discuss. The government has been calling the unions to the table. The unions are the ones that just ain't coming. Using any excuse. Now they have Jimmy Bristol trying to put legal arguments not to go to the table. They could find money to pay Jimmy, but they can't find money to pay strike fund.
Well, yeah, but if you don't work, if you're on strike and you don't work, even when they get the money, the union taking back all the money, you know. All the money what the union will be paying for them, which you call strike fund. They let them know the union want back their money, you know.
Well, I hope.
It's nothing free, you know.
Well, I'm wondering that if I'm paying every month, I'm paying, because I did at a point in time pay into the Public Workers Union, unwillingly so. I did pay into the Public Workers Union. I am saying that if they are receiving those payments on a monthly basis, how come they have no strike fund? Where's the strike fund for the GUT and the PWU? Where's the strike fund?
Use common sense, man. They must have strike fund. Where the money gone? Where the money went to?
Well, we're going to see if they have strike fund, you know, because they are going to have to pay these workers their little Christmas money for the days that they have ordered them to be off the job. So
in the past, the union will discuss to you how much percentage they could give you out of your salary. Because remember, the union make that sacrifice for you to work out your job, you know, because they're looking for a bigger payoff later on. But in the meantime, you have to eat, you have to live, you have to pay your bills. The union have to step up. The union has to step up.
Well, I hope.
So when the little money come, they have to give you a little kakada.
Well, maybe they could make a borrow off of Jimmy. Maybe they could make a borrow off of Jimmy, man.
Well, you see the union think that they could just say that until they go and pay them. Come out on strike and you pay them. That's how it works, man. When the union asks you to strike and you go down the pole and stand up, bro, you better make sure the union have money to pay you, you know. Because when the government or the company decide they ain't paying you because you ain't working, that's a total different thing, you know. Because you expect the union will be giving you money until you get back to work. Because they are the one who asks you to step out the job to look for more. And when you get your little kakara from the government, then the union come in and tell you, no, well, you have to give me back 8%, you know. They know that's raise the union dues, you know. So you can't tell me that they don't have money to pay the workers.
Well, it doesn't seem so. Maybe the workers need to question their leadership and find out if they have money to pay a strike fund. Because that's where they're going to have to get their money for Christmas, eh?
They shouldn't be blind. They have to ask questions and listen to what the union leader is saying. Ask questions. What you're not comfortable with, you ask more questions. So do not walk out if you don't know the reason why you're walking out. You understand? You have to know the reason why you're walking out. Ask the hard questions. And I hope they do that. Don't just go and say, I'm demonstrating, man, and raise the flag, and when you go home, you're not going to give your children. So you better ask the union the hard questions and let it give you the answer. And make sure you're satisfied with that. So when you do that, it's you who do it. Nobody make you do it. You understand it, and you took the chance.
But as
Okay,
I said,
buddy?
some people are attempting to make this entire thing into a political issue when this is a
Well, we know
social
that.
and moral
Sheldon,
issue.
We know not everybody, but you know some people like to follow. So they just say, well, the union say do that, I do that. But you know, you had those inside it, because I listened something with George Grande, what NDC wrote and what they say. And now they're talking about the 25% and this and that. And I knew it was from the NDC before you say NDC. Since how we reading that thing, I say, that come from the NDC, man. When he finished, then he said that was from the NDC.
They have no moral authority to be speaking on any issue
You know, because
like this. They have
Sheldon,
no
in
moral
1990,
authority.
1995, yes, I mean, when NDC was there, why we didn't stop the thing with the government personnel? Why we didn't say, no, they're not supposed to get gratuity, they're not supposed to get that? 2008, 2013, remember I used to call you and said, why the union so quiet? I asked that question many times to you and Ian. Why the unions is so quiet? Nobody's saying anything. The country is falling apart, and the union stays silent. It's only when the brewery come out. I was happened to be in Grenada at the time. The thing down in the brewery, and Chester come forward. And you see what they did to Chester? I witnessed it with my own eyes. You see what they did to Chester? That's to tell you. That was the only time a union leader stood up for the people. And what had happened to him? They put him on the ground like a little, well, I can't even have a word for that. He never went through that his whole life. So you see how it works. Now they stand behind closed door and keep pushing. We saw that before. We saw it in the 70s. Right? We saw it before Gary Fall. We push. And when we get in there, chaos. It's whose side you're on. And let's hope we got to go back to that again. Anyhow, brother, have a good one.
All right, my brother.
All right.
Yes, indeed. 4407377 and 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers for you to call and get on to the inside of today's program. Yeah, and you see, I have no moral authority to speak on this issue. None. Good morning. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Sheldon.
You have people looking for you the other day, man, yesterday.
Oh, my God.
You have people looking for you. Everybody always want to see you, you know. You're a popular fella, you know.
Well, you know, the thing is that being familiar and acquainted with the security aspects of life, sometimes you don't need no bodyguard. You have to be your own bodyguard. Now, Mr. Scott, I am more into the asking questions this morning. Yeah, you know, well, between you and I, based on my location, I have seen what taking place in the city. So this is not a comment for now. That is a comment after. Now, Mr. Scott, let me ask you a couple of questions here, sir. Is the union action legal?
Yes, it is. It is. You have a right, a constitutional right to withdraw your labor and to protest. So
okay.
it is legal in that sense, yeah.
All right, no. Will the government still withhold the salaries of for the days people did not show up for work?
Well, government did state that on several occasions, so I do expect that is what will take place.
All right, no. Is there any agreement of 25% gratuity that have to be paid to public servants?
I have not seen any.
All right. Now, which party walk away from the tax and refuse to return?
The unions.
All right. No.
The government was at the table. The unions walk off on the 3rd, and they have not returned, even though they've been asking them. They have written to them. They've asked them to return. The unions just refuse.
All right. Based on what the government is telling us, can the government afford to pay the 25%?
It is not possible for the 25% due to the economic impact it would have on the overall economy.
All right.
That is why government has been saying, let us sit at the table and discuss what is possible. But the unions have just stuck at 25, and we're not going anything away from 25.
All right, now. Would Grenada lose more than what the public servants would gain if we was to honor this 25%?
You stand to lose over $100 million in grant funding. And
All
that
right,
$100 million is money that could have been used for instance, in your village, you may have some ladies and so that you could take into a sewing program so that they could make uniform for the children in the area, and you don't have to run to Grenville to go and buy. Or for some farmers to start a cooperative to provide them with seeds and the basic equipment so that they can provide food and so on. That $100 million, that's what it's to be used for, In grant funding, money that you don't have to pay back, that we stand to lose.
Yeah, I agree. Now, was there anything in place to give public servants a pension after 1983?
Yes, there is a pension that is through the National Insurance Scheme, a contributory pension program, so that public workers who have made, I think it's 500 contributions, would get their pension through the National Insurance Scheme, which is a percentage, I'm not clear on the percentage in the top of my head right now, a percentage of the last salary that they work for.
All right.
So that is already in place.
No, this government have agreed that everybody who work into the system should receive a pension, which is 70% of their last salary, and based on what they would receive from the NIS, the government would make up the rest to ensure that they get the 70%.
Yes.
Now, is this the government that paid over $110 million to public servants that no other government was able to pay to them in the last 10 to 15 years?
Yes, it is.
Is this the government that made over 300 teachers that was languishing in the system without any proper direction? Was this government the one that made over 300 teachers permanent?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Scott.
And you're missing out over 100 nurses.
Yes. Is this the same government that when they came into office in 2013 that met an economy in reverse?
Yeah, same government.
Is this the same government when they came into office, they had a government before them that was paying 70 cents on every dollar towards our national debt, and today we only paying 48 cents.
And paying late.
Mr. Scott, is this the country where our credit worthiness was negative in 2013? Is this the same island of ours where unemployment in 2012 was 40% and today is 24%? Is this the same island where in 2012, youth unemployment was 60% and today is much lower? Is this the same country, island of ours, where we had a government in 2012 that was running the country with an $18 million deficit, and today our books is balanced? Is this the same government that when they came into office, they meet over $140 million of unpaid claims in the Treasury that the former government was not able to pay? Is this the same country, brothers and sisters, where $10 million was owed to Nawasa by the former government that they was not able to pay, and the government today have paid every penny of it? Mr. Scott, I can tell you, yes, I favor workers as an employee, and I favor teachers receiving their fair due. Not teachers, because that go beyond teachers now, it's bigger than that. But Mr. Scott, we cannot endanger the economic and financial well-being of Grenada, which we have a population of over 510,000 people. We cannot endanger the future of the country and the other 95,000 people for 10 or 15,000 people. It must not happen. It should not happen. It would not happen, and we would not allow it to happen. The bottom line is this. End of story right here, Mr. Scott. The 25% will not be paid. That is straight up and simple. The teachers and the government will have to return to the negotiating table by the hook or by the crook and work out a more amicable solution. You understand, that would not push us back to the economic cesspit where we came from, and make sure that whatever worked out, is more palatable, so to speak, to both the government and those who have their grievances. But at the end of the day, put it in your pipe and smoke it. No 25%, and I believe 2% is too low. But there are, Mr. Scott, let me wrap here because I've been up for a while.
Yeah.
There is a lot of people that want to see this thing go to the extreme, and they would not be happy when an amicable solution is found. Mr. Scott, I trust you and your listening audience would have a pleasant day, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. Those are the numbers for you to call and get on to the inside. Yeah. You can't just decide that you're staying away from the table. You ain't going and talk. I mean, listen. It's all of us that have to pay. And that's the part. Yeah, some people that want to play politics with this thing and make it a NNP thing and a NDC thing. Listen, at the end of the day, whether you're NNP or you're NDC or you're in supporting any political party, you are going to have to pay. Because the money has to be found somewhere, and you're not going to end up in a situation that you're going begging for loans from different, and you wouldn't even be able to get loans. Because the state of your economy, due to certain moves, would put it in a position that you can't even go out and borrow, even if you wanted to borrow. Or you would find yourself having to borrow from sources that would put your country in danger. That's what's going to happen. Go back to the negotiating table. So I want to make it an NNP and an NDC issue. NDC has no moral authority to speak on this issue. They should shut up. Quite frankly. No moral authority. So they're trying to tell me. So isn't Mr. Burke received his gratuity and his pension and so? The past two political leaders of the NDC qualify for a pension. Yeah? Tillman Thomas, he would qualify for a pension. Nazim Burke would qualify for a pension. They spent 2 consecutive terms. In fact, more than 2. In each case, more than 2. In each case. And therefore, they would qualify for the pension. And they would have gotten their gratuity at the end of 2008. Not 2008, sorry, 2013. They'd have gotten their gratuity. So they want to come and talk about politicians getting NDC members, NDC membership, whose last 2 political leaders, most likely on pension right now, want to come and talk about politicians receiving. Take the beam out of your own eye before you can take it out of anybody else's own. Their 2 past political leaders qualify. The present political leader ain't look like he will ever reach in parliament. I mean, unless he go in and view. He go in and take a nice walk through.
Hello.
Good morning.
This politician and them, I don't find that it's fair to make 2 term and get in all this pension, I worked 39 years in government, and now I can't get a cent. That's not fair,
What I would say is this. Remember, in that case, when you would have worked these number of years, you didn't have to go to anybody every 4 or 5 years and ask for your job back. The politicians have to do that. So they might not make 2 terms, they may make 1. They ain't sure they're making 2 terms. That is put in there because even after they make the 2 terms, you make 2 terms and your party gone out of office. You know there are some firms in Grenada, qualified as you are, would not hire you because they see the government would say, oh, so you're going to hire in that fellow, he was in the last government. So you are at a disadvantage, not an advantage. So even though you work for 30-something years, that is applaudable. You did not have to go every 3 or 4 years to the people of Grenada and campaign to get back your job. You had a job for that period of time that could not be been taken away from you. But at the same token, you deserve a pension and you deserve a gratuity for the time that you have spent during that period. And what I would advise you to do, because I know a bit about your situation, is there's the pension secretariat that has been set up. That's at the entrance to the new Parliament building there, like if you're going up Mount Welldale, right on the left-hand side, that you and others in your situation need to visit there and regularize their status so that when this issue is completed in relation to gratuities, at least you could get your pension and your gratuity. Yeah? Okay, my brother?
All right.
All right. Yeah, that's it. That's the story. They keep pushing this thing about politicians make 2 terms. You don't make 2 terms, The people have to decide if they're giving you 1 in the first place, much less 2. And you have to go and campaign for it. You have to do the work. You don't get 2 terms just like that. People don't just decide, well, okay, no, you don't just decide that are taking 2 terms. The people of Grenada are the ones that give you that. And you have to go for it. You have to apply for it. You have to work for it to get the 2 terms. And you're not guaranteed of a job at the end of the 2 terms anyway. That is why it has been put that particular way. We have a call online. Good morning.
Good morning, Brother Scott. How are you?
Hey, I'm quite fine. How are you today?
Thank God, good. Just in relation to all that's going on, I just, like sometimes when there is a move on the part of a public servant in the public service, you may hear people saying it's victimization and there's only the Public Service Commission that has the authority to hire and fire and so in relation to the deduction of pay, now, what is the role of the Public Service Commission in all of this in terms of disciplining workers who may not have shown up on the job or been off the work for a few days or whatever? Because we're hearing the government saying they're the one.
No, what the union has been doing is playing within the public service rules. They have not stayed away more than 3 days at any time. If you stay away 4 days in a row, then the Public Service Commission can take action against you.
Okay.
But you are allowed, under the law, to stay away for 3 days in a row without presenting a sick leave.
Okay.
After the 3 days, you must present a sick leave, a valid reason why you are away from the job.
Yes.
So that is what has happened in this instance. They are allowed 3 days. So you realize this week they said Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Last week they said Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
The week before that they used the Monday. The Tuesday was the referendum, so they didn't have to do that because it wasn't a school day anyway.
Yeah.
And the Wednesday they used that. So it was 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. So that's what they're doing. They're working within what the law allows, which is 3 days that you could stay away. But that's what the law allows. But it also allows the employer not to pay you for those days. If it's because of strike action, as is the case in this instance, the law allows the employer not to pay you for those days, as it's strike action.
Yeah, and the other
it's
thing
not
I just
sick
find
days.
it so abhorrent, to hear the language coming out from some union leaders, this fight and jail and place them big enough to hold all of us, and I think this inflammatory language isn't called for, and it's really unnecessary, and it could really provoke unnecessary situation. Already the nation is tense around it because because they're surrounded by people who tell them what they want to hear. But generally the mood in the nation is the people have no appetite for this strike and this protest and all of that. So this is my contribution, and I really wish that they would come to their senses. Good sense would prevail. They'll return to the negotiating table and really and truly recognize all that this government has done. I don't think any other government has done as much for the workers in this country as this present government. I think, people need to be mindful of that, and the union need to be honest with themselves and come straight up with their membership and the nation and acknowledge what was done in their interest. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, so they're being very careful what they do. So they're taking a 3, they go back to work for 2. That's what they're doing. Yeah, they're being very careful how they deal with this particular one. We have a caller online. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, good morning. Your live caller, go right ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, your live caller, go right ahead.
Yes. I just want to get some clarification. Hello?
Okay. You need to listen to us on the phone line when you call and not on the radio. You see what that caller just did? They tied themselves up. So even if I was trying to speak to them there again, they're listening to the radio and they won't be hearing what I said. So caller, we'll offer the clarity. You can give us a call back. Folks, just a programming note tomorrow. I think we should start broadcasting about 9. You should be hearing Hard Talk broadcasting for about 9 tomorrow. We will be broadcasting the budget address tomorrow, the budget speech. That'll be broadcast tomorrow. And on Thursday and Friday, we'll be following up with the budget debate taking place at the Parliament Building, the House of Representatives. So you'll be hearing the budget speech tomorrow, yeah? And then the budget debate will be taking place on Thursday and Friday. We have a caller online. Good morning.
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning.
Morning. You can go right ahead.
Concerning the pay for the ministers, the pension.
Yeah.
Is it after they get out of government they would start getting the pension, or do they have to wait till they reach 60?
I think it's 55 that they have to wait until they reach. I don't think it's 60. I'd been saying 60, but I was hearing Honorable Oliver Joseph saying 55. So they have to wait until they reach that age of 55 before they receive that pension. They don't get it immediately. They get a gratuity, which sometimes you wait a few months to a year or so to get. You get the gratuity, but then you have to wait until you attain the age to start receiving the pension. Okay? All right? Oh boy, yeah. Again, caller, you're listening in the background, and we're nearly out of time too. Yeah, so I'm sorry about that, but we're nearly out of time. Yeah, so that is what is taking place. A lot of people think that the parliamentarians, they make their 2 terms and then immediately they start getting a pension for the rest of your life. No. You have to attain the age, same as people within the public service and so. You have to get to that age before you start receiving your pension. Yeah? And what a lot of them are saying is they're not telling you the gratuities that the parliamentarians receive right now anyway, which technically is not gratuity, but anyway, the gratuities that they receive right now is joke compared to some of the gratuities that are being proposed by the union right now. Yeah? It's joke compared to the gratuities that are being proposed by the union right now. They're cussing about a parliamentarian getting 20%, which may mean what? According to the position you held, might be 60-something thousand up to about 72,000 at the end of your term, right? But some of the gratuities they're speaking about is $250,000 under what they are proposing. So you're speaking about the parliamentarian. Speak about that part of it too. Part of what you are proposing would mean payments to some people of $250,000. And you know I'm not telling untruths. They like to say I'm lying, but they could never once take an audio of me and take a document and say, Sheldon Scott lied when he said this. Or they could jump and say, oh, he's being paid by the New National Party. Duh, so what? How does that change what I am saying and if it is truthful or not? Challenge what I'm saying. Yeah? Go and prove what I've said is not true. But they can't do that, can they? But folks, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. Huh? Yeah, maybe anyway. All your union members, yeah, check with all your leadership and find out if the strike fund top up and thing we're all getting a little kakada for the Christmas, eh? Because you know you want to buy a local ham and thing, have a 2 drinks so when people pass, You want the thing to look nice. You want to put up a little curtain and them kind of thing. Right? What we playing right after? Repeating tonight. Yeah, we're going to repeat the video. And because Facebook is giving a lot of problems, we will be repeating the video and the program tonight on 89.5, right? And online on www.hardtalkgrenada.com and on YouTube. It will be repeated tonight. All right? From 8 p.m. Yeah, we're getting you from 8 p.m. And remember, tomorrow, all roads lead to, and at least at the Grenada National Stadium, and I think it's football. Anyway, yeah, to the Parliament building. I'll be across there, God's willing. So you will be hearing the budget presentation by Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell in his capacity as Minister of Finance. Yeah? I wonder if them unions have a minister. Naz, you feel them unions have a Minister of Finance? I wonder what's going on with the strike fund. LL, you have a strike fund? You have money in that strike fund, bro? You have to find real money there, you know. But if you don't have a strike fund, you better know where to go and get a strike fund because he had to pay them teachers and them, you know, not government. You tell them strike, not government. So you had to find the money, you know, LL. Yeah, you, Andre, and comrade sister Rachel Roberts, all you had to find the money, you know. They're talking about finding money. I hope all you looking to find the money right now because them teachers had to get the money, huh? Yeah. They had to get the money. Nice? Okay. Well, you could maybe ask Jimmy. Jimmy might be able to top them up. Jimmy could get them at $2 million, day, man. Jimmy could get them at... Jimmy Bristol, you can't get them at $2 million? Front them a little $2 million now, man. Yeah, just front them a little $2 million. You'll get it back. Front them at $2 million. Eventually, to go repay. All right? Folks, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. It's been a wonderful one. Poor Jimmy. Poor. Well, I nearly said it did. Folks, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. Hope it's been a wonderful one for you. Remember, in everything you say and everything you do, do it safe and secure. What are we speaking to and with you and not about you? We love each and every one of you unconditionally. My name is Sheldon Scott. I'm in studio with me, Nazim Benjamin, on the technical side. And we are signing out. Remember, tomorrow morning, check with Hard Talk from 9 o'clock. We start anything, eh? Yeah, I think the speech itself might be at 10, but you go have a little roll up to the thing. So from about 9 o'clock, we go have different things playing and them kind of thing. So you could get all the thing. And then after the speech, we go have a little discussion and all them kind of thing going on. So tune in. Then Thursday and Friday, keep your radios close, keep your computer close. We're going to be broadcasting. So you're going to be hearing direct, live and direct. Ain't no second-hand information. Get it from the source. All right? Nice. So in everything you say and everything you do, do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you, not about you. Love you all.
Royal Grenada Police Force Band.
What are the facts? Are all public workers entitled to pension? Are public workers owed gratuity? Here are the facts. Fact 1. The Pension Disqualification Act of 1983 was validated on April 21, 1985 by the democratically elected government led by former Prime Minister Herbert A. Blaise. This means that public workers employed after February 22, 1985 are not legally entitled to a pension from the government of Grenada. Fact 2. The judgment in the Hermelin Armstrong case does not create legal precedents for the reinstatement of pension to public workers employed after February 22, 1985. The judgment created a legal precedent only for those workers who joined the public service in a pensionable post between April 4, 1983 and February 22, 1985. There were 56 such workers. The government restored pension to those 56 workers in 2018 at a cost of $7.7 million. Fact 3. All officers employed in a pensionable post who joined the service after February 22, 1985 are not legally entitled to a pension from government. They are only entitled to a pension from NIS once they meet the necessary requirements as per the NIS Act. Fact 4. The Cabinet's decision in 2016 to reform pension is rooted in moral and social justice principles. and it is not a legal obligation. Therefore, any agreement on pension is a win for public workers. Fact 5. The MOU signed between government, the unions, and staff associations in February and March 2018 stated that the pension regime which will be implemented must be affordable and sustainable. Fact 6. The proposed pension regime for public workers employed between February 22, 1985 and December 31, 2018, as stated in the MOU, is a non-contributory pension plan. Therefore, no deductions will be taken from workers' salaries to finance their pension from government. Pensioners also benefit from any future negotiated salary increases. Fact 7. It was agreed by all parties that a worker's annual pension would be a minimum of 70% of their final salary to be paid jointly by the NIS and the government of Grenada. Fact 8. Government is not obligated to offer an advanced pension payment, commonly called a gratuity. Government has proposed to make an advanced pension payment of 2% of full pension, an amount it can practically and reasonably afford given its current and projected revenue stream. It should be noted that an advanced pension payment is a non-interest-bearing loan that the government grants to the pensioner, which must then be repaid in equal monthly installments in the form of a reduced monthly pension over 12.5 years. Fact 9. Under the proposed 2% advanced pension payment or gratuity, retirees will be entitled to a higher monthly pension than if a larger advanced payment was given. Fact 10. If the government accommodates any higher rate of gratuity, the implications would be severe for the country, as this will translate to higher taxes such as VAT, income tax and property tax, higher import duties, the possibility that hundreds of millions of dollars in grants would be lost, lower expenditure in critical areas such as healthcare, agriculture, roadworks and youth development, retrenchment of workers. These are the facts. Government is committed to an amicable resolution to the pension matter for the good of all Grenadians. Minister Joseph, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Having had the benefit on working on both sides of the fence, so to speak, as a union representative and now as part of the government, you are uniquely positioned to speak on the issue. I'll allow you to do so.
Well, thank you very much. So let me give a brief background to this issue so that we can set it within the proper context. 1958 Pension Act made provision for established workers who are qualified to receive a pension. At that time, it was the qualifying age was 33 1/3 years. That is the amount you had to make. And it was reduced through negotiation to 26 2/3. And I was involved in that negotiation, so I remember it very good. When we went to the government and said, 33 1/3 years is a total long period. Let us consider 26 2/3. In fact, when I was preparing for the negotiation, we got this formula from St. Lucia. And that was in the 90s, but I remember it, as I said, because I was integrally involved in it. So that is what was at stake. And that was in place up to 1983. But let me first say, under the Act, you receive only one pension from government. So there was only one pension, because there was no NS. So only one pension was available. In 1983, the government then passed the Pension Disqualification Act on the 4th of April, 1983, which superseded and canceled the 1958 Pension Act and make it mandatory, a contributory plan where the employer and the employee will contribute to national insurance, and all workers will qualify and benefit on the national insurance scheme once they qualify. So to get an NIS pension, you must make 500 contributions, and NIS contribution is calculated on a weekly basis, so 500 weeks. So you could say 10 years because 52 weeks in a year. Then you will get only an NIS pension. So that was to maintain the one pension. But this was fairer because, as I indicated, under the 1958 Pension Act, you had to be a permanently established worker to benefit from pension. So if you were unestablished or daily paid worker, you were not given a pension. However, in the 1983 amendment, with the coming to being of NIS, all workers who contributed to NIS would receive an NIS pension at the age of 60. So when this government came into office, it said, we need to look at pension reform and see how we can address this issue and address the concerns of workers that the NIS pension is not sufficient to allow them to live an adequate standard of living in order to meet their basic commitments. And a commitment was given by this government to review, reform, restore pensions. And that is where we are today. So where are we? So recall, at the 4th of April 83, Humlin Armstrong took her matter to court and said that she was entitled to a gratuity and pension, having joined the public service before the 22nd of February 1985. Now, why 22nd of February 85? Because that is the time when the law that was passed to abolish pension was gazetted. And that is why the court ruled that the effective date for the disqualification is February the 22nd, 1985. And that was the important ruling in the Humlin Armstrong case. It's not that the court restored pension for everyone. It said, because the law was gazetted on the 22nd of February, that then became the effective date for the disqualification of pension. And she started working before the 22nd of February 1985. So what did the government do? In keeping with the court ruling, the government restored pension to all workers that came into work before the 22nd of February 1985. And that cost the government $7 million in restoring pension. So the question of pension restoration was addressed by the government, and that is the only legal obligation the government has. So what did the government did? They met with the unions and said, let us look at reforming the Pension and Gratuity Act so that the workers who came after 22nd of February to the 31st of December 2018, the government, together with the unions, can address the issue of pension. And so the unions started meeting with the government-appointed pension committee to work out a formula for pension and gratuity in keeping with the government's commitment of reforming pension. And that's why the 70% minimum guaranteed is a negotiated amount. There's not anything that is in a law, because there's no law on pension. So the union is claiming, therefore, that the 25% gratuity, that the government had agreed with it, it is not in the MOU, it is not in the collective agreement. And then so they could not produce any document that was signed between the union and the government-appointed team. The latest position that I've heard from the union is that the 25% is enshrined in law. In other words, it's contained in law. So before I came on the program, I did some research. It is not under the Teachers Pension Act. It is not under the act that governs the public workers, because the Pension Disqualification Act supersedes and cancels the 1958 Act. So I'm not aware of which act that they are referring to now. However, I need to make the point that if it is under an act, then you are legally entitled to it,
then that is a matter that can easily be addressed in the court. They can do it like Homily and Armstrong went to court and get redress. So if, as I said, they are legally entitled to it, then they can go to court and argue the case that they are legally entitled to 25%. But as far as the government is aware, there is no such act that contains a 25%. So the government proposes a 2% gratuity payment and a 98% as a worker's pension. I think that is important to understand. In the old formula, if you got 25%, then you will get 75% as your pension. So if you are getting 2% now, it means that you're entitled to 98% as a pension, and therefore you'll be getting more as a pension. In addition, every time public sector workers get an increase in salary, pensioners also receive an increase. So you will be getting an increase in your pension. You do not get increase in gratuity because that's a one-off lump sum payment. So what we are saying is that the workers are offered a higher pension than the union is asking for. For example, if a public officer's pension worked out to be $2,000 a month, and he or she took a gratuity of 25%, the pension will be reduced to $1,500 a month. The gratuity, which is a prepayment on pension, will then be $500 multiplied by 12 times 12.5 years, which is equal to $75,000 payable at the time of retirement. However, under the government's 2% offer with a 98%, instead of the worker receiving $1,500 per month, they will get $1,920 as a pension, and I said with future increase. Now, the demand from the workers. They are demanding the 25% gratuity. As I said, there is no agreement, and if there is any agreement, the union is free to produce the agreement. The union demand will add up to $21 million annually to the payroll, bringing the cost of pension to approximately $74 million annually. This amount, first of all, is not affordable, neither is it sustainable. If you have to find $21 million additionally to add to the payroll, it means that you will have to cut back on a number of areas. Therefore, we'll have to send home the Imanis to get the money because we have to get 21 million extra. We'll have to close the horse repair program. We'll have to stop the debushing program. We'll have to cut back because remember how the budget is done, you know. It's an annual estimate of revenue and expenditure. And allocations are made based on sectors. And therefore, to find an additional $21 million will mean getting it from some other allocation that's made. It's simple as that. So if the government is to agree with the union's proposal, then the poor man out in St. David's who looking for 2 fortnights, or Mr. Samuel who waiting for me to repair his roof and build a toilet on him, there will be no money left for that. Or the 1,300 Imanis that we're taking on, there will be no money left. The money will have to be used to meet this bill. Well, no responsible government could take a decision to commit the state, because what you're coming is a state pension, you know. So any government coming thereafter will have to pay it when you commit the state to that. In addition, there is a Fiscal Responsibility Act that is in place. And there is a public expenditure rule, which states that you cannot exceed expenditure to over 2% from the previous year. This amount will mean that we will have to bridge the Fiscal Responsibility Act. If we bridge the Fiscal Responsibility Act, it means that the financial pledges that we have, we will not receive it. it means that hundreds of millions of dollars in grant funding will not come to the state because of the breach of the Fiscal Responsibility Act. And the only reason why government have received grant funding and so much praise for its economic performance, because we have ensured that we remain disciplined, exercise fiscal discipline, and remain within our budget. And therefore, to give up all that in order to satisfy the demand of public sector workers that have already benefited over the last 5 years from $110 million in retroactive pay, a 10% increase, 3% in 2017, 3% in 2018, 4% in 2019, just for public sector workers. This government cannot afford to neglect all the other sectors in society. We need to stimulate economic growth in the country. We need to reduce unemployment. It will be highly irresponsible for this government or any government to get into agreement that will see the other sectors of society suffering. We call on the unions to go back to the bargaining table, to sit with the pension committee, to see how we can reach agreement on this matter. Because it's not a simple matter of the government just refusing to pay 25%, or that the government agreed to pay 25% and now, instead of that, offering 2%. Because that is the basis for the industrial action, The basis for the industrial action is the trade union saying to its members that government agreed to 25% and then just change it to 2%. And yet they have not provided any document to show that the government signed an agreement for 25%. And so we are saying to the membership that there is no agreement in force and that the government is willing to continue talking with the unions in the interest of the country. And therefore, what is at stake is the future development of the country. We have to be responsible, as I said, and ensure that we act in a manner.
Government reiterates commitment to pension reform. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news from Monday, November 19th, I'm Delroy Louison. The government of Grenada says despite the current impasse in negotiations with public sector trade unions and staff associations, it remains fully committed to pension reform, which will benefit workers in the post-1985 category. Delivering the throne speech during the ceremonial state opening of the second session of the 10th Parliament, Governor-General Her Excellency Dame Cécile Lagrenade said her government takes seriously its moral duty to ensure that retirees are provided with a decent pension for a comfortable standard of living. Government had already taken action to support 56 public officers who were appointed between April 4, 1983 and February 22, 1985, on the basis of the Hamlin-Armstrong judgment. That was done at a cost of $7.7 million.
We must balance this commitment with ensuring that decisions taken do not have negative effects on future generations, but are done within the parameters of the Fiscal Responsibility Law.
Grenada will use its presidency for the 4th Assembly of Small Island Developing States Sustainable Energy and Climate Resilience Organization, SIDS-DOC, to continue lobbying international partners for concessional financing. Governor General Dame Cecile Lagrenade says the aim is to help build resilience in small states worldwide.
Furthermore, we will continue to impress upon the international community to consider the Caribbean's inherent vulnerabilities when designing policies to graduate small island states from accessing official development assistance. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, building resilience and reducing vulnerabilities go hand in hand. They are indeed the two defining issues of our time and must be placed high on the national development agenda if the gains achieved in recent years are to be maintained.
The throne speech is a precursor to the 2019 estimates of revenue and expenditure, which will be delivered by Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, on Wednesday. Dr. Mitchell told the Government Information Service that the throne speech has set the tone for what is to be presented this week.
Capturing the main theme of even the budget that is to come on Wednesday. It is a resilience of all form, climate, economic, infrastructure, financial resilience, and clearly economic transformation and of course going at improvement on the public service using technology as a way forward, all aspects of economic transformation in the country as a whole. So it was a throne speech, which of course precedes the budget presentation, which comes on Wednesday, which outlines the specific areas of intervention. This is just a broad outline, which is what the throne speech is supposed to be.
Dr. Mitchell says while the throne speech dealt with the plans of his government in a broad spectrum, his task will be to deal with the specifics with regard to his government's plans and policies.
The specifics and all the interventions, all the projects that are coming on stream, those are already on stream and those are people are trying to bring on stream right now. I'll be giving details of this and specific actions that we are taking in as far as innovation is concerned in the public service.
This is the National Report. We'll have more details in just a moment.
The gains and a preview of more gains into the Keith Mitchell administration's economic comeback story on full display in the nation's new state-of-the-art parliament from Monday, November 19th. 2 days that will allow the nation to see and hear the excitement in the Grenada economy that has spurred it on to be the fastest growing in the region. Monday, November 19th from 10 a.m. the throne speech is unveiled as new programs and policies of an achieving administration are outlined by Head of State, Her Excellency Dame Cecile Lagrenade. Then, on Wednesday, November 21st, the 2019 estimates of revenue and expenditure are presented by Finance Minister and Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell from 10 in the morning, with unemployment plummeting to its lowest in decades on the back of 5 years of steady economic growth. Confidence remains high in the Grenada economy. Tune in Monday, November 19th for the throne speech and Wednesday 21st for the 2019 budget. 10 a.m. live on National Radio and Television.
Welcome back. The Grenada Chamber of Industry and Commerce, GCIC, is being challenged to play a bigger role in building a Grenada of excellence with regards to the business community. This call from Dr. Theodore Ferguson, who was the featured speaker at the 30th Annual GCIC Business Awards. A ceremony was held under the theme Leading from Above the Line, with the objective of recognizing outstanding businesses in various categories. With his speech centered on leadership development, Dr. Ferguson admonishes the private sector to get proactive in building the business community.
So you want a leadership that can bring excellence. A leadership that can bring out the best in every individual. And in your homes, you can bring out the best in your children, bring out the best in your employees in an organization, bring out the best at the national level if you're a national leader. And that's the kind of leadership that we now advocate, the leadership that we like to see pervade our society, pervade our world. And this type of leadership is not only needed in Grenada, we need it throughout the world. So we have been working in a number of countries around the world, helping to bring transformation. We've done a bit of work in Grenada. We'd like to do a lot more work in Grenada. I still believe that we can make this island of Grenada a very, very special place. And Grenada can play a major leadership role in this world.
President of the GCIC, Abraham Lester Andel, shares the Chamber's advocacy perspective.
At GCIC, your board perspective is to foster dialogue, action, and change. We are on cue for transformative leadership practice through dialogue and collective problem solving. As Chamber President, I have a view that advocacy must be guided by the balanced perspective developed through engagement with other stakeholders. Executive and owners, be reminded that you have to be in it to win it.
Arise Credit Union and Glenelg again copped the Business of the Year and People's Choice Awards, respectively. The Award for Environmental Excellence 2018 went to La Luna Hotel, while Calabash Luxury Hotel picked up the Excellence in Tourism and Service Excellence Awards. Manufacturer of the Year was won by Sissons Paints, Grenada Limited. And finally in the news, the Grenada Investment Development Corporation has adopted 3 new policies, which will be applicable to all GIDC personnel, including its board of directors, third parties, and all activities undertaken by GIDC. The activities comprise projects being implemented, as well as foreign and domestic operations. The GIDC says adoption of these policies will assist the corporation in being compliant with all applicable laws and regulations. The adopted policies are anti-bribery and corruption, which is aimed at protecting GIDC's reputation and its operations from bribery and corrupt practices, as well as to provide guidance on the action that should be taken by GIDC personnel when they suspect bribery and corruption. The second is anti-fraud. The intent of this policy is to prevent and deter fraud from occurring within operations. It is aimed at, but not restricted to, protecting the corporation's valuable resources from fraud and loss, as well as outline the internal control systems for reporting and monitoring instances of fraud. The final policy is conflict of interest. This policy is aimed at ensuring that GIDC and its personnel conduct operations in an impartial, ethical, open, and unbiased manner. Its intent also includes, but is not limited to, removing any perception of bias within operations, providing clear direction on managing real, apparent, or potential conflict of interest, and establishing control mechanisms to manage conflict of interest. The policies will take effect on November 30th. And with that story, we end the National Report for today, Monday, the 19th day of November 2018. Recapping the main story in the news, government reiterates commitment to pension reform. That's all from us here at the GIS Newsroom. I'm Delroy Louison. Thanks for joining us.